Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser, brought to you by Reckless Coffee Brewing, our sponsors. So definitely go check them out. It's Friday. Kermit is in the house. Good to be green. TGIFF as always. And our Friday guy, John, is here, still rocking the Gravenberg train. What's going on?
That's Friday. I'm kind of happy, but not really. No game. Kind of struggling to find things to talk about as we as we did. So
Yeah, right. It's the international break. It's been actually, hey, it's been good so far. It's been good so far. See, Ryan knows what's up. Ryan knows what's up. Good morning, Ryan. Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Ryan describing his Thanksgiving dinner there.
And Kazi is with us with the international break headache, which is going to be the first thing we talk about. What's going on, Kazi?
I'm good, guys. Yeah, lovely. I love a little break. I love a little no reds for a week. I enjoy it a little bit.
Honestly,
When your players get
I'm
injured.
kind of looking forward to this weekend in some ways. It's like funny that you mentioned that.
It's nice, isn't it? I think it's just nice just on a Saturday. There's no stress in my life. I like no stress Saturdays sometimes.
that's fair.
So,
Yeah, you get it very rarely. If Liverpool is on, there's some kind of stress involved. Sergi says Robo is out for 8 weeks. You guys jinxed them. So I looked at this morning. So on the Sergi has is texting Robertson back and forth. The last update I've seen, he went off injured with the shoulder injury. The first word was dislocated and stuff like that. So when I looked, I don't think there's anything from Liverpool yet. I know he's back in Liverpool for treatment, but the last thing I saw in terms of an update, and this is as of 50 minutes ago, was the Scotland manager saying he will be back in action. I mean, obviously, he only cares about the Scotland side of things for the next international set of international games, which is in a month, isn't it?
yes.
So we're assuming. I mean, mind you, we're going to talk about this, but with the backup situation we have, a day is too many. I think, Kazi, for Robertson missing.
Yes. As much as Costas. The manager's got a big decision here. I think it's probably the one position where he couldn't really do without an injury, when you actually, apart from the goalkeeper. And the reason being is because Costas hasn't shown it enough. Looks like that he can start for Liverpool, but the manager has a small headache to make because Kwanzaa's given him the option to do 3 at the back. Now, in my opinion, you can't play 3 at the back if you've only got 4 centre-halves. That's always been a thing. It's an unwritten rule in football. That thing when a right back can play left back, but a left back can't play right back. It's that kind of unwritten rule in football. So the manager is now
James Milner.
Unless you're James Milner, of course, which is the spare part that can do anything. So the manager has a small decision to make there. I think he does cost us only because the next 7 fixtures are favourable for Liverpool. Where if you say to him, now you're starting the next 7 and we're going to find out what you're all about, basically. And we're going to give you that run of games, like Curtis Jones needed that run of games at the end of last season. Joe Gomez needed that run of games kind of this season, and he's been brilliant. Same with Matip. So Costas, this is your chance to have that run of games. I think if Liverpool were playing, let's just say Spurs at home, it might be a different conversation. But I think with the next 7 games, we're going to find out if we can get Costas to a competent Premier League left back.
Where are you at with this, John? I mean, as much as I kind of like the concept of the 3-man, in the back overall, and I think we have I just don't feel like, John, that's something Klopp will do because we haven't practiced it for 4 months.
Yeah. And he's completely adamant about this whole double pivot when we have the ball system. So he's worked on it for months now, and there's no reason that he's going to change it, especially since we do have an actual left back. He might not be as good as Robertson, but he's still a left back, give or take. So I'm worried a little bit. I know Robertson hasn't had the best start, but in terms of physicality, in terms of the speed, in terms of his understanding of the system, there's no one better. So it's great that we're actually at this point. So as much as we're gutted, the injury came in, it came at a decent time. I would say we're in terms of the fixture list, it's a little bit favorable. So hopefully it won't be too long and he'll be able to come back, same levels as before. But otherwise, yeah, this is, as Ryan mentioned here, this is Costas' his chance. Like, we've been doubting him all season. Maybe he does just need a run of games to get speed. Who knows? So we'll just see.
The thing is what I don't like about this run of games concept.
Go on.
I feel like we pick and choose who we say run of games to, right?
That
like,
is true. I'm guilty.
Say, oh, what is it? I mean, any player can say that, right? Any player that we consider, man, he's not that good, can say, if I only had a run of games. Yeah. Is that really or are we saying that for Costas? Because at one point, he looked like the real deal, and he looked like he could even challenge Robertson almost. We were like, oh, man, we have like so great two left backs. Are you going off of that, Kazi, when you say he might just need a run of games to get back to that guy? Because the thing I don't understand is he literally looks like he has the strength of a 12-year-old at times. The last couple of games we've seen him. And it's not like suddenly he has a run of games, he's going to go through puberty and get stronger. You know what I mean? It just looks really odd.
Yeah, maybe. I agree. I don't think he's been great. And I don't think he is a fantastic left back based on what I've seen. But the argument is, and his argument will always be, and every football player is the same, they need a run of games. I need to get up to a certain kind of level and speed. There's also a part of this when he plays, he does play with the centre-halves who you wouldn't really want to play with. Now he's going to be playing with Virgil van Dijk next to him. He's going to be going, where are you going, pal? Like, what are you doing? Kind of like, you know what I mean? This is not your chance to foray into our centre midfield. You know what I mean? And have a lovely run and have a lovely time. Now you're playing with a real leader next to you who can get you through games and talk you through games. So, I'm not saying based on when he first came in, he was excellent. I'm not saying that. I just feel like he is an international footballer. Agreed. Okay, not for the level. But he is also a footballer who probably plays left back in the bottom 7 Premier League teams in the league and would start left back for them. So let's just see what he's like and let's just see what he's about. For me, I go back to the 3 at the back thing. By the way, I don't think the manager is going to do that. But what the 3 at the back would allow us is to protect Van Dijk. If we think Van Dijk can't defend one-on-one, as clear as he likes to be, when you have 2 men alongside him, you know what I mean? He might go, oh, well, you know what I mean? And he doesn't have to cover enough space. That does protect him. But it also gives the opportunity for Trent to actually say, you know what? You're fully committed to this centre midfield right wing kind of role, kind of deal, because there is a 3 at the back. So that could be the only way in the manager's thinking. This has come early in the international break, where the manager might look at a few things. I don't think he does. I just think he does Costas, and we go from there. I wish he would go 3 at the back. But let's give Costas the chance, mate. And, again, 7 games. No issue until we get to City.
One thing, John, is like, as much as I'm not sold on the run of games thing, I think maybe that run of games thing is a little psychological as well, where when a player knows he's going to get these 4 or 5 games regardless, maybe that pressure comes off, as opposed to, you show up on a Thursday in a Europa game, man, you really got to impress, because you're not going to show up for another 3 weeks. That's the only thing I can think of it helping, maybe psychologically, that they might not even realize, knowing, hey, I'm not coming off. Obviously, if you're out there and you're constantly looking to the sideline to see if your backup is warming up or is coming to the side, he's going to go out there and he's going to know he's out there for 90 minutes, even if he takes a dump in midfield sometime.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly the hope for Costas. Like, he finds a way to turn this into something, extremely positive. And to be fair, he has quite a bit of a lot of positive traits. Like, I feel this year he's delivered balls better into the box than Robertson considerably. Like, in the cup games where he's featured, he's had a lot of really good deliveries coming off the corner, coming off left back, and we just haven't finished those opportunities. So, glass half full guy within me says Costas finds his form after he gets a run of games. He challenges for the left back place. Worst case scenario, we have a pretty good enough squad to make up for any mistakes that he's gonna be possibly making. So, while it was initially worrying, it's a good thing Kazi brought up the fixture list. I just remembered it's pretty favorable. So, at the start I was worried, but right now I'm just steady with it.
The following on from that though, Tim, right, which is important, I think Robertson hasn't been great for 6 months. And he looks like he needs a break. And it's not a leg injury, by the way. It is an arm injury where you are resting your leg for 8 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And you're not running about. It's not, you know what I mean? You are fit. It's just an arm. So that it could be a positive. There's also a part of this as well where we feel like Robertson has, with this new formation change, it has kind of limited Robertson, because we do get caught out on that side of it because he still wants to bomb forward. But there is an argument here where Van Dijk will talk Kostas through the game and go, "You're going nowhere. We've got strength to do all that." And there is that thing where Van Dijk probably has more of a say over Kostas than he does what Robertson does. So that could benefit Liverpool defensively as well, where he goes, "Can you just stand here for 15 minutes? You know what I mean? We don't need to get on the ball," kind of deal. So it might turn out to be a small positive if Kostas can get up to a competent level.
That's what I love about Kazi. Just trying to really like digging in there to get that silver lining dug out. That's what I like about you.
Hey, Robertson's going to come back at Christmas when there's loads of games and be absolutely brilliant again. That's my hope.
I mean, I would like to get like Sergi has to really give us your sources, because like I said, last I saw it was like only like 4 weeks. But I guess 4 weeks, then the international break is a month and a half before he comes back anyway. Football Flashback says, never heard of Reckless Coffee. That's a class, guys. Big move for you. It is a big move for us, and this is your chance to not only hear about Reckless Coffee, but go check out their website and try Reckless Coffee. Because trust me, we might not know our football or soccer or whatever here, but we know our freaking coffee. So Reckless Coffee is, if we can't talk confidence about anything, it's coffee. So go check out Reckless Coffee. Definitely try out their stuff. Some good stuff in there. Robertson, I assume, for some reason, very reluctant to cross the ball. And Sir Z says, this is, I think, going back to when I feel like he looks like a 12-year-old playing out there. He needs to stop dropping and trying to get free kicks, great delivery, but he seems like he can get pushed over easily. Yeah, maybe that is what it is. He's trying to get himself set pieces to deliver the ball, because I really felt like he had an even better delivery than Robertson at times.
Yeah.
So like when he was, like competing with Robertson almost and getting more playing time. Now it almost feels like that's not there, but let's hope we get the most out of that. I mean, in talking about fixtures, I kind of was going to ask you guys, we talked about this on the Premier League panel show on Wednesday, which we do every Wednesday night, by the way, and we had like Spurs, Arsenal, and Villa, and obviously some conflicting and contradicting looks when you look at this. And like Tottenham, we're asking about Jake about how he feels, how this looks over here when you're on the very bottom in terms of easiest. But I think earlier, I can't remember if it was Ryan or Sparky mentioning about playing down to our competition. So John, when you look at this, do you say, things are looking good? Or are you like a cynical jackass like me thinking it doesn't matter, this doesn't mean shit to me because we lose points to the Forests and Leeds teams last year, and actually this team gets up more for bigger games?
Yeah, well, I might have gotten more cynical over the summer. Jordan Henderson.
It rubs off, Brady. It rubs off.
Yeah,
don't blame Henderson.
But
just blame me.
But there's still a little bit. There's still a little bit of that positivity, and I honestly think this is quite good considering. You're talking about last year about how we lost to all these smaller teams. I think this year's team is considerably better. Like we got Big Dom in midfield who can unlock a defense. We got McAllister who's still gelling in, but then he's going to get there. So I feel like we've done really well. Fourth, considering our schedule, I'd absolutely bite your hand off for that, considering like it'll get easier over the next few games. So I just get positive vibes from this team, man. I don't know. Like as much as I want to be negative and be like, crap, we're going to drop it's another 7:30 against Everton for one, right? Obviously feel a bit nervous for that, but I don't know, man. There's something about this team. There's something about like the togetherness that I see, the vibes, everything. So I'm honestly excited.
How about you, Kazi? Do you see a big difference? I mean, the problem I've had in the past is not that it would be one thing if you couldn't open up a low block and you struggled, we just couldn't create and stuff like that. I always felt like, when we go up against like teams like, a Bournemouth or, I don't know, Sheffield or whatever who we're going to play, it feels like physically we're not ready, or I guess mentally more than physically, to be able to bet. It feels like we get out-fought in those games a lot more than, like, I don't have any question about being out-fought in a game against Arsenal or Spurs and stuff like that. I know they're going to fight, but it feels like we go out to some of these games against a Luton at home or a Sheffield at home, And I don't know if we act like it's going to happen anyway, but I just get that vibe that physically you see the other team fighting a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, on last year, probably, definitely, in certain games up until like at least March, probably. And then the Reds kind of turned it around. I feel like this season, signings give fans a boost. What does it do for players? When they go, fucking hell, he's good. First training session. Oh my God. Then that gives you that confidence, you know what I mean? Go, fucking hell, if he's playing midfield, that's really good. Oh, he's really good as well. Then Gravenberch comes in on the last day, they see him running around and you go, fucking hell, he's great. Do you know what I mean? So
confidence or more like a kick in the ass?
A bit of both, really. Because there's also a thing of like, as much as we love Milner and you know what Henderson did, what you can say what you like before the end, he was a fantastic player for 11 years or whatever it was. You know, you kind of look and go, but we just need to refresh ourselves and we need a little change and we need, you know what I mean? I think Jota summed it up perfectly in pre-season. He's like, it's great when I pick my head up and these lads are looking for me. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, and it's Jota just going, I love playing with these lads. It's really good. So I think that's what, in terms of the outfort, you see the Bournemouth game at home this season, Liverpool, poor for 20, they go 1-0 up. But we outfought them in the end. We got it together and we were like, you know what? And we did fight for them in the end. You know what? We sense something and we feel something. Hey, Tim, can you bring that graph up though, mate? Because I found that graph really interesting.
Damn it.
What you just had up. Nah, man, because I find like this kind of stuff insane. It's like my hatred of XG, which I'm sure we can get into if you'd like. It's the most.
Your wish is my command. Here you go.
Thank you, gorgeous. Yeah. So if you actually have a look where they put Burnley there in terms of the easier fixtures, Burnley started with City, Villa, Spurs, United, Newcastle, and Chelsea. That's as hard as you can get. And Burnley in middle of the road. So this is a load of garbage. Clearly a load of garbage.
I think it's from Opta, and it's looking at basically where they are ranked right now. So if you played Chelsea before the season, it might have been considered on the harder part of things. But now, because of where they're at and because of where United is at, the coefficient is different.
But I just feel like that's like, you know, as tough a start as you can possibly get. And I just found that laughable, really. But yeah, going back to it, you know, being the out-forward situation, Liverpool have an opportunity right now before we go into that City game in a few weeks to be above them, comfortably above them, to go in 4 points above them and then go, if you beat City, you can go 7 points clear of City. And that's a very, very realistic, let's say, thing for Liverpool right now because City's fixtures are super tough. But yeah, man, I think the confidence all comes from, and I think the kick up the arse comes from new signings. Again, Jota said it in pre-season. I think Van Dijk mentioned it, going, it's, you know, we need a freshen up kind of deal, and he kind of mentioned it in an interview. So it's great, man. This is probably the most positive I've been since Paris, really. Paris killed me because I thought we were the better side in the day, and Courtois shot the greatest game of his life, and, you know, Naby Keita blazes a 25-yard shot over the bar with no pressure at all, and the ball's still travelling right now.
Okay, you don't need to do this on a Friday. We don't need to.
No, I'll put the level down there. If I ever see, you know, we'll get onto the Naby Keita stand in a minute at Anfield right now. But never finished. Never right to go. But nah, man, you know, back these boys. Back them. They're a really, really good side. And let's back them.
Yeah, let's get to that Naby Keita stand, actually. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess, John, you can't really put this on the club or anything like that. If anything, maybe, I don't know, they could have been more proactive or whatever. I feel bad for people who had tickets over there, but this is not going to be the first initial rumor. And I guess that's the only problem I have with how it has unfolded is maybe, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, this Everton game was the target. In 1 month, how do we get delayed 2 months, I guess, is the question, John. But, I mean, where are you at with this? Obviously, it doesn't hurt us as much here, but at the same time, it would definitely add to the atmosphere. It can't help having, like, a deserted stand on top.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a what are you going to do situation. Like, if you're a fan, it's unfortunate if you got a ticket and everything and you were looking forward to the match. Yeah. But, you know, it's like, what are you going to do? It's out of your hands. The club, I agree, Tim, the club could have been a bit more proactive, but it's unfortunate. And my whole thing is that hopefully they just get it sorted soon, right? Like,
yeah, you're right, mate, because I feel sorry for the club a little bit. You can't call, you know, the company goes bankrupt. What the club's made a mistake on, they shouldn't have sold tickets for the stand, really. Because you shouldn't have sold tickets because people make plans to go to the game.
Yeah.
And I know we're a part of a couple of US sites. We're flying over games and book flights and hotels, and now their tickets not there. So that's where the club could have been a bit better there. They could have been a bit more proactive. Because let's get it right, they just do a draw. So for people who don't know how you get tickets, you basically enter a ballot. You get a successful ballot in an email to say you are successful for these games, and then you buy your tickets for those games. That's what the club could have just done when the stand was ready. Could have just done a ballot for those seats. Just done a ballot for that stand, and it's just a ballot for these seats. Everyone entered, and that's how you could have just done that. So I think the club has kind of been a bit poor there, really. But yeah, it's also unfortunate as well. You can't really do much. But when it says 2024, I would still like more of a timeline on that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it almost. I read the interview. Well, mind you, it was kind of like a beach ball interview because it was on the Liverpool website. But like the questions were like, "You want to answer this? Here's a question to answer that," kind of questions. But it's made it sound like we'll know more then, not like it's going to be ready January, but we'll have a better idea then. And I think, I wish they did that a month ago. Instead of saying, shooting for the stars and saying like, we're going to try to get it ready for the derby and stuff like that. I wish they said, you know what, we'll know more by the end of the year. Don't hold your breath kind of a thing. Because if people had tickets, they probably were like, oh, we're still in the balance over here. Whereas they would have known right away. I mean, that's like John says. I mean, what are you going to say? What can you do? I think, that this is the only thing I can think of that they could have done better.
Can't do anything. Can't do anything.
Can't do anything. Good process, boys.
They were given a timeline by the old firm. The old firm, of course, collapsed. We were going to do it. It's just a shame that I don't think they should have sold tickets. I think the club will probably admit that. We shouldn't have sold tickets. We should have just done a ballot when the stand was ready and just do the ballot anyway.
Yeah.
But that's the only real shame, because again, I do know a couple of fans who are flying over from the US for games that are not going to be there, and you spend thousands of dollars and take time off work, and it sucks. It really does suck. That's the really sad part, I think, of this. To be honest, is the fans who were affected.
Yeah, we were just talking about this on the panel show for like Messi games, like Major League Soccer people here paying $1 bazillion dollars just to see Messi sit on the right hand side icing his leg.
At least you saw him, right?
But here's another thing, so the dude Alan, who's like an Arsenal fan on the panel show, actually sold his tickets. He's a Chicago Fire season ticket holder, so he actually sold his tickets somebody for like $450, $500 or whatever. Well, I mean, the club was giving refunds, like the Chicago Fire, for example, here in Chicago was giving refunds for $250, but that doesn't go to the sucker who paid $500 for the tickets. So he's
the game.
Like, he's not getting anything.
How could you sell your ticket not to watch Xherdan Shaqiri play? How could you do such a thing?
Like, he's a season ticket holder. He can watch his highlights.
Watch him every week. How, you know what I mean? The pleasure of watching Big Shaq play.
He just scored 2 goals the other day. Everybody was
Come on, Shaq.
What do you guys think about going? See, there you go. See, good timing over here. Good timing, people. It's almost like scripted. I told Serzi to come in at 23 minutes into the show and ask us about it. Okay, so here you go, John. I know you're a big fan of Bundesliga and all Germans in general. With your deep knowledge of World War II, FC Liverpool are interested in bringing in Max Eberl as sporting director. Schmatke, Schmatke has become the ultimate like puppet regime, by the way. Right. Look at it from outside. I don't even know what this dude does, but I don't know if you know anything about it. I don't think we're going to pretend to know much about it, but what do you say about it?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend one bit instead of, embarrassing myself here. From what I've read from like the 5 minutes I saw the headline, because this headline is extremely recent, is that he's highly rated, and that if we bring him in, we're going to have some sort of a structure close to which we had with Michael Edwards. So obviously that's a good thing. The fact that we don't know what Schmadtke does is kind of alarming. Like, I'll say what you want about the transfer window, about bringing in McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and all that, which was pretty good. We don't know how much his fingerprints were on that. We don't know. So, which worries me a little bit in terms of his influence for the club. So if we get in someone proper, someone who knows what he's doing, someone who could give us, like, using Michael Edwards as a basis because he was really that good. If we could get someone close to that level or that level, then obviously I'm all for it.
Yeah, I know a lot about him. He's a 50-year-old guy. He's from Germany. But no, actually, he was. Looking at this, and this is the part that he was in Mönchengladbach's youths, and then the top level. And Mönchengladbach is known for their youth players and stuff like that in terms of guys they bring up and then they sell. But then this is the part that's weird, that then he goes to Leipzig from there.
Yeah.
But then in December 2022, and then September 29, 2023, it says Leipzig announced Eber's immediate termination due to a perceived lack of commitment to the club.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means they caught him watching porn in his office. What does that mean? What was he doing? Lack of commitment to? He's I'm not coming in today. He called him sick or what?
The rumors were he was flirting with Bayern. That was the rumors.
Okay.
He's flirting with Bayern, come and get me kind of deal with Bayern Munich. Tim, what makes me laugh though, can you bring the tweet up again? I've got you bringing shit back up because it's hilarious, this tweet.
Here we go.
Right. Why is it that they mention the players and the manager's age like he's a player? It still matters that he's 59. Why have you tweeted this?
So that you can be he's got another at least good 10 good years.
What does Klopp's age have to do with anything as well?
He's 59. I don't want a 59-year-old sporting director. Oh, we want a younger one, a 52-year-old. Why does it matter?
Dude, he's in the peak of his sporting career. As we all know, 55 to 59 is peak years.
I reckon we got to get rid of the Klopp soon. He's 56, does it matter how old he is? He's a manager.
Maybe it's like a heart doctor kind of thing where you'd probably go for an older heart doctor than a younger one because
you've seen more hearts. Yeah, amazing. I found that absolutely bizarre. But that is the one concern. It looks like he was flirting with Bayern, and Bayern still kind of want him. And then, as you know, Liverpool create clicks. Liverpool create news headlines. So probably he'll just sign for Bayern next week and just become their new sporting director.
Right.
I thought you were a Christian Folk guy, man.
Listen, Christian Folk's fantastic. Knows his stuff, but he knows his stuff about Bayern as well. So you just go, Liverpool might be interested in him, and then
this says, we're interested in him. Doesn't necessarily say Max is interested in us.
I know, this is what I'm saying. So it might be just Max going, but I've got a certain wage bracket that I'd like, and if you want me to work with Thomas Tuchel, who's a bit of a knobhead, then I want to be played for a certain kind of money. And that's how it is. And that's probably what's happening right now. He just goes to Bayern next week and we all forget about him probably.
To be fair, being a Bayern sporting director is pretty cake, isn't it? You can just hop around in Germany. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. You go around, get whoever you want who's German easily, automatically. So he's like, I got the Germany covered. All I got to do is go find some talent outside. And they have the money. So it's a lot easier gig, really.
They fired the dudes who masterminded the whole Mane thing, though.
My favorite thing is though about being a sport, Liverpool's done this a couple of times, where the players played really well against us, and we just sign them. When Minamino played really well against us for Salzburg, and he just went, "Fucking hell, he's good, isn't he?"
Oh, Christian
and you always see a Mel Ready on a Paul Joyce document. Now we've been interested in him since he was 12, and you're like, "We haven't. He just played really well against us, and we just
heard of him."
Stop bullshitting. We have not been interested since we were 12.
We just saw last Wednesday for the first time. I know, growing up, Fenerbahce used to do that. And I'm like, this is a really bad precedent because now everybody is busting their ass against Fenerbahce so that they can score a goal so they can get signed the next year, especially if they're playing in a smaller club in Turkey. It's like, this is my chance, bro. He's just trying to score a goal.
Gino Ronaldo had the best game I've ever seen against Liverpool, I think it was. And then we just signed him that summer. I'm like, he's good, isn't he? We just do. Sometimes the manager just goes, I could do loads of them. And that's fine. But the one that Bayern went getting back to the point with Bayern, they just look around the league and go, fucking hell, he's good, isn't he? They're just going to sign that Wirtz, aren't they, from Leverkusen in the summer. They'll just sign him and just go, yeah, he's great. We'll just take him as well.
I don't know if it's one of those deals where, I don't know, the scouting department, obviously they're not following one guy. They have a bunch of guys. And you're like, I noticed. I recognize that dude. Isn't that the guy who kicked their ass last summer or something like that? You can kind of see you saw him in preseason or something like that. I can see that familiarity, but it's a really bad precedent to set. But yeah, we'll see. I think it goes without saying, though, that we're all in agreement that Schmatke is not going to be here moving forward.
No, I don't think so. But we just don't know. Again, the one that concerned me, when people say we don't know what he's doing, which is fine because I don't want to know what he's doing as a sporting director. I don't care what you do. But the one that concerned me was the Saicedo deal, which Billy Hogan kind of got involved with. I think it was Billy Hogan kind of. I think the FSG were a bit more, well, we trust our guy for £100 million transfer than your guy, Jürgen. And I think it might have been a bit more along those lines, if you know what I mean, which is a slight concern, but it is £100 million deal and it would have broke every record that FSG have ever set. So they maybe want their guy involved in the conversations, which is completely fine as well.
Yeah, but you either give the car or you don't give the car. You don't say like, "Oh, this is really hilly. Let me take the steering wheel. I'll give it to you when we get back on the highway."
Maybe, but I suppose it's a bit more. Hey, FSG were very much out their comfort zone in £110 million deal. They were out of their comfort zone, and if you're going to come out your comfort zone for the first time, you want someone you can trust in the room to give you the proper feedback. And maybe that's why Billy Hogan was involved in that deal. So maybe that's what it was. But you've got to earn the trust, basically, Jorge, before we're going to trust you with that kind of money.
I mean, John, we almost assume I don't know why we assume this, because we really don't know who does what specifically, right? But it's almost assumed, and I kind of blame myself, I put myself in this too, that, he doesn't have a whole lot to do with what we consider now, looking back, a huge rebuild of this midfield at great cost at a top level. So why would we not say, why are we even looking for anybody else? But we're not. It's just odd, John, that we're not saying that. Why is that? It's just a perception?
Probably perception. Like, I don't know. Like, again, we don't know how much of Schmadtke's fingerprints are in this rebuild. For all we know, he masterminded this whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't know. Right. So listen, like, if we get the dude from Bayern or if we don't, like, I'm fine. Like, as long as we get signings like Soboslai, like McAllister, like Gravenberch, I'm fine. Like, as someone who just supports the team, we can only know so much. So as long as those players comes in, as long as they deliver, as long as we win the league, hey, no complaint. They can have one of us like manage as long as we win the league, right? So.
You know what I'm saying? You're right, though, bro. I don't want to know what my sporting director does. I don't care what you do. Just get the signings through the door that we require as fans. I don't care. No one knows what Michael Edwards did. No one knows.
Exactly, yeah.
So as you said, it's perception. Enough. It's all about perception. We have no idea what they do. But again, according to our sporting director, he might have signed all these 4 players. He could have been on the phone to Bayern for 4 months going, can we have Gravenberch today? No. Can we have him today? No. And then got it over the line.
He has this on a daily Google calendar, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, all day.
It's like 5 minutes.
Have you signed Paulina yet? It's like Paulina.
It's like call Bayern 10 o'clock to 10:05 a.m.
Like Bayern to pick up the phone going, will he just fuck off for fuck's sake?
They're like, Herr Schmadtke, please stop calling.
I know. We just don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Sir Z says Billy Hogan wanted to make sure Chelsea bought Caicedo and Lavia so we could get Gravenberch for less. Yeah, maybe Billy Hogan was like, hold on, let me sabotage this asshole is spending
4D chess right there.
Okay, since we're in the laughing modes, let's keep going over here. The ultimate count. So, in some ways,
mystery. I can't get over the mystery. I'm sorry.
As much as I kind of like this, like, it's funny to us. I mean, this is in some ways like sleazy journalism at its best, right? Mystery Manchester United player, like it's like a mystery ingredient in a recipe or some shit. Leaks, so tells his friends who tells this dude who tells it on the show. I can't remember his name now. Brazil, I think. That they don't like Ten Hag. I guess they're still holding a grudge for what he did to Ronaldo, which I almost felt like Ten Hag was set up for that, and he did what he could with it. And then, obviously, we know the Jadon Sancho deal. How much of you are you buying? And at the same time, John, this is just a bad precedent to... If I'm a United fan seeing this, if I'm an actual United fan, I haven't like even asked my brother about this. He's probably just going to laugh it off because this shit happens all the time. But, like... I would not want, just for seeing that, I would say find that goddamn mystery player and get rid of him, because these players constantly get rid of managers over there. I mean, long may it continue. As a Liverpool fan, I do enjoy seeing it. But if I was a United fan, I'd be like, find the asshole and get rid of him instead of getting rid of Ten Hag, because that's the disease and the problem in the first place.
Right. It's like, I mean, I came on record here a lot saying that I don't think Ten Hag is all that, but he has a really difficult job. Like, let's be real. Like, coming in, trying to revive a team that's still, mooching off of the success of Sir Alex. It's going to be tough, whoever you are. So, like, you have to at least give him a chance. Like with a new manager, you have to give him a chance to get his players in, to get his system in, to get his tactics in, and that requires the buy-in from certain players. And obviously, if you don't want to buy in, you should be out, right? You should go out, like get out of here. So like this whole thing is not good if you're a United fan. I agree to him. Like, find this guy and get him out of there. It's just really funny because you can imagine like one player not getting played over the next few games, and you'd be like, oh, he's probably the dude.
Yes, it's gonna be that. Yeah,
I just put on my detective cap, by the way, and you said that this was a show from Brazil.
Alan
Brazil. No. The name / the Alan Brazil, right? Is that Alan?
Alan Brazil,
okay. Yeah, Alan Brazil is the one who said this at the show.
Are you thinking Anthony?
Right. I was like, this is just Anthony right here. Because if it was a show from Brazil, like who else is it gonna be? So the headline says, right, he spoke to his friend. So is his friend like did the journalist learn from the friend, or is the journalist the friend?
Learn from the friend?
Right.
So like really the snitch, if you think about it. Like, I could just tell Kazi, once the show is over and you're gone, I'm basically telling Kazi, man, I can't stand John. We got to get rid.
Most days.
And then he goes around and tells Gally or somebody.
Yeah. I hate these guys. Can't stand them. Can't get rid of them. But now going back to this thing, right? The rumor was last year, when it was happening last year, it was Dean Henderson. That was always the rumor.
Yes.
Now, Dean Henderson's no longer there. Now, the issue is for Ten Hag, and this is where he made the problem day one. When he comes in and goes about United and Liverpool, and he says, well, the era's come to an end.
Yeah.
Where our manager walked in and went, it's going to take 4 years for me to win anything. Where, if the man, and I open that's where you set that and goes, I've got a lot of work to do here, guys, i.e., and that's where the buy-in would have came from the United fans. If you went, listen, I've got to get rid of this 5 managers, different players. I've got to find who I want, and I've got to get rid of the rest, like Jurgen Klopp did. But it's going to take me a certain thing. Now, what Klopp did, which Ten Hag has done one up, let's get it right. Klopp in his first season lost 2 cup finals. So, Liverpool fans had a buy-in. We had that Dortmund moment and stuff, they had a buy-in. The United fans had a buy-in, they won the League Cup.
Yeah.
So they had a buy-in where you go, I'm buying into this fan. That's where they got it from. But the problem is, on the day one, he didn't set his precedent down and put his thing down, going, I've got to do a lot of work here, and it's going to take 4 years to have a really good challenge at this and try and win leagues, which is fine. But that gives you time with the fans. So when you have a few bad results like Liverpool did, like Liverpool had a few stinkers, by the way. People forget that, stinkers. I remember being 3-0 up away to Seville and drawing 3-3 because they scored 3 in the last 10. So we had a few bad ones along the way. The problem is with the manager now, because you've set your stall out early doors. By the way, you spent money and you've set your stall out early doors. This comes with a certain level of expectation. Man United haven't won the league in 10 years. Probably going to be 11 years at the end of this season. It's going to be unlikely they're going to win the Champions League. I think the bottom of their group. I don't think they've got a point in the Champions League yet. So it's getting to the stage where the manager has the pressure's on because of what you've done first thing. So going back to these leaks and stuff like that, there's no power there and there's no control there because now the pressure's on you because the results have went bad. But the fans would accept the results going bad if you would have just set the stall out early doors and just said, you're going to have bad results, you're going to have shitty times, I'm sorry. But if you want a complete overhaul of this club, I need time. That's his issue. So now he hasn't got time because he's walked in and went, see them 2 there, they were really good, but now it's my time, kind of thing. When you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, maybe Klopp made it look easier in that sense where I feel like the problems you inherit, personnel-wise, was a lot less for Klopp than United. Yeah. And I'm not talking quality. Like, I'm not talking quality of players. There's a lot of money spent at United. But in terms of, like, John dealing with drama, like, he dealt with a few dramas, but it was overall, like, the Liverpool team at the time needed structure and just needed some, I guess, leadership, right? Somebody to say, hey, I'm in charge now. I'll take all the blame. You guys do what I say, and we're all going to be fine. And we're slowly going to improve. And like you say, I think that's a very good point that he said, the target is down there. So, like, it's not like we have to start winning tomorrow. We got time. It's going to be a slow burn. We're going to do it. But at the same time, John, I feel like he did not. I mean, I remember the Sacco ordeal. right? I do not recall a lot of other problems in terms of players that are being a cancer. Whereas I feel
Yeah.
like the United roster is just like fucking cancer cells all
Yeah.
over the place.
Well, for all we know, there might have been, right? It just hasn't
Yeah,
been
that's true.
released. Yeah,
That's
well,
true.
there might have been, and I think with Klopp, like I feel like we were talking about it a few shows ago, about keeping things in house. I think Klopp is really good at that in terms of like, if there is an issue, he speaks with the player directly. Let's not get this out to media. Let's solve it between ourselves, man to man, right? I think with Ten Hag, he didn't help himself, especially with the whole Sancho thing. Right, like that headline said that one of the issues was his treatment against Sancho. Like he kind of brought that on of himself, didn't he? Like he mentioned it in the press conference, right?
Yeah.
So obviously that puts it in the public eye, where he could have gone directly to the player and said like, "Oh, you're not playing because you didn't do this, you didn't do that," and they talked it up man to man. Right, like this is why I'm a big fan of Klopp in terms of how he sorts out things. Like for all we know, it's impossible to have 100% harmony in a locker room. Like, let's be real. Like, you have players who think that they should be playing but are not. And we've had some pretty good players who were stuck on the bench down the years who felt like they probably would have started over certain players, right? And I felt like Klopp worked his magic in terms of being a great communicator with those players, in terms of not letting it get leaked out to the press, for one. So I think that's a skill that Ten Hag doesn't have or is yet to learn. Right. I feel like part of it is arrogance, right? Because I feel like he comes off as a bit, chest out and like, oh, I'm good. I'm the next, like as Kazi mentioned, like coming in saying that it's my time now kind of set the precedent in how we're going to fucking see him as a manager. So I think that plays a part. And honestly, again, long may it continue. I'm listing out the things that he has to improve, and I hope he never realizes this, the arrogant cunt that he is, right? Like,
Well,
do you need some of that to deal with the personalities, Kazi?
Most definitely, yeah, you need arrogance. You need confidence. You need to go in and set your stall down. But there's also a part where the fans would be on your side. If you come out first day and say, this is what I need to do, and the fans will all agree. If you were to sit there and went to, literally in the first day wants him and goes, it's going to take 4 years. I've got a lot of lads here that I don't know. I've got to find out who I want, who I don't want. There's 5 different or 6 different managers, players. I need time to have a look. Come along on this journey with me, but in the end, we'll get good. What happens is, though, along that way, you win a league cup like Liverpool, Liverpool win the Champions League of, okay, second, third season, whatever that happens. But you get to the couple of cup finals, you see moments in games. But what he did do is, he walked into the dressing room and go, see them 2 there, they're finished. And now it's my time. That's where his arrogance came. The other part of this is it doesn't help in your first season that you get skittled 7-0 by Liverpool and get skittled 6 by City. Because that doesn't help either. Because they're your 2 biggest rivals. And then you go, but you were telling me we're going to compete with those lads. And that's where the fans don't get involved with you. Where the fans would listen, it doesn't help. Listen, if Klopp would have got skittled 7-0 by United, there would have been a few calling for his head. And I'm not arguing with that. But there's also a part that 3 weeks before they got battered 7-0, they won the League Cup. So there's a moment in fans' heads where that's what you've got to do. There's got to be a buy-in. But going back to the Klopp and the ego thing, Klopp had the Sacco situation to deal with. Okay, fair enough. Do you know Balotelli was still at Liverpool? Everyone forgets that. Balotelli was still at Liverpool.
Oh,
people forget that
he was for long though, did he?
Because he's come in and went to Mario first day and went, "You're not a part of my plans. You're gone." Later. There's actually a famous picture I put it on Twitter before where Mario Balotelli's warming up and Klopp standing there watching him, and I always feel like that was like 2 different, like literally eras, that Balotelli and Klopp, but they overlapped. I find it insane because I just brought it up there. So Klopp's first summer, I think he gets rid, including his loans, of like 17 players. It's insane, including his loan outs, because he gets rid of Benteke, Skrtel, Jordan Hag. By the way, Jordan Hag was the best thing since sliced bread. Klopp came in, I'm not having you, you're gone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Shea Ojo goes and Andre Wisdom, Markovic, Lazar Markovic, these type of lads all go. The problem is he's walked in, again, first day and said it. And that's where this issue is. So now he doesn't have the power. His power is gone because you're all losing football matches. And all these players know, well, you won't be here in 6 weeks. Yeah. Because they all know. If we'll carry, we can chuck it in. We can throw it in. They threw it in against Palace last week. If it wasn't for McTominay, a local lad, come on, let's get a couple of goals. They threw it in. That's what they're doing because they've done it to all previous managers.
Yes, they have.
They've done it to all the managers. And let's get it right. Van Gaal and Mourinho, these are good managers.
Yeah.
These are good managers.
They've had some good guys. It has not been the man. I mean, like we talked about this before, I think with Galley and stuff. I understand, and we'll talk about, in terms of, yeah, going outside. I know what you mean, John, by like keeping things in-house and stuff like that. But you can keep things in-house if the head of the house has got your back.
Correct.
I think when the head of the house, like, he knew FSG was going to be behind him. Correct. He could have said, get rid of this guy, done. Get rid of this guy, done. I don't think he was going to get any resistance. I don't think that's how United functions. So I think when he has like somebody that's like, we got to get rid of this guy, I think the powers that be are like, well, the problem is we pay $60 million for him. So you're going to have to make it work over there. Yeah. I think that makes it a lot tricky. Sir Z says, Alan Brazil, ex-player. Yeah. To be fair, leave alone John, it's almost like before my day. Like, that's when I first started following like Liverpool, like 80s. Yeah. I think if I remember right. Sparky says, who won the free shirt? Mark, I'm going to butcher his last name, but I'll go with Wafula. Is the last name, but getting the final details to kind of like announce it because we have the address and we can send it and all that kind of stuff. But Mark Wafula was the winner. So out of Mexico, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So yeah.
I think the last thing we can say on this United thing, by the way, the Sancho in the headline, they're not happy with the treatment of Jadon Sancho. If a manager questions your ability in training and you question I feel like that's really bad. The manager expects a certain level in training, and if he's not up to that level, but what the manager, as John just said, he's done wrong, he shouldn't have spoke about it. He could have just said, listen, he's not ready right now. He's not match fit. I don't, he hasn't had enough games kind of deal. But what he's done there, the kid's 23 years of age, he's a young man. He probably needs an arm around the shoulder now and then. So it could be the right player, wrong manager kind of deal, or the other way around, wrong manager, for that player. Because some players want the arm around the shoulder. Some players you can call out, like leaders, you can call, like Van Dijk, for example, the manager can walk in and go, in the whole dressing room, you were shite today. And Van Dijk will go, okay, I'm going to get to a certain level, I'll prove you that I'm not shite. But certain players just need their arm around the shoulder and go, don't worry about it, kid. You'll be fine. What doesn't help his situation? Again, the manager signs a right winger in Anthony. His own right winger who he's worked with, by the way, who's absolutely garbage. So there's another part of this. When you're a player, let's get it right. Players know more about football than us. Players know when someone's crap. Whether he's the teammate or not, they know when someone's garbage. You'll look and go, I'm not having him. Do you know what I mean? Like when Anthony's the same thing. There could be players around there, like Casemiro, for example, going, you've signed him, mate. He's the most box standard winger I've ever seen. Like, there's not.
Yeah, but here's my thing. Like going back to what we were talking about earlier, we don't know, right? Like we don't know if he tried the arm around the shoulder.
You don't
once, arm around the shoulder twice, John, and then afterwards, if that shit doesn't work, you're like, hey man, like you got to do something. Let's try to kick him in the ass.
Kind of manager, don't you?
Right. I was about to say, do you think he's that kind of man? He doesn't seem like that kind of manager, though. Like he seems like a very no nonsense. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, he does seem like.
He seems like Rafa.
You're fired, type of guy, right?
He seems like an old school kind of manager, right. Like a Mourinho and Rafa kind of deal. Conte, that kind of manager where it's just like, nah, you're either with me or against me, and you're not in my group. Where I feel like Jurgen's a bit more personable, let's say, and a bit more kind of thing. I always go back to, like, I know this is a mad one because we'll get onto Everton, I'm sure, in a second. Sean Dyche goes into Everton and Josh Townsend's out for an injury for a year. And the first thing Dyche says to him goes, how are you? And he goes, yeah, I should be fit. I'm running. He said, I don't care about football. How are you mentally? How are you as a person? Because you've been out for a year, you're an older man, like, what are you worried about? And Townsend mentioned, and it always sticks to me with certain managers, sometimes it becomes down to the person, Tim. It comes down to the person.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not saying Ten Hag's way is an old school way, which it kind of is. That might not work anymore because it still might work. He won a League Cup. It still might work. But I just feel like these type of players these days, they all want the arm around the shoulder. This era and generation, they can't really call them out anymore.
Where he's coming from is different too, right? He's coming from Ajax, and it's like a different build. They have some experienced dudes that did it in Europe, and they have a lot of like young players coming through, usually their system, if not, like another youth system. So maybe what happens there, I mean, that's management, right? You got to be able to, you got to do two things. You either got to change your management style to the guys, like, you were successful here. Doesn't mean you can just take that same formula and go somewhere else and apply it. So either you change your formula or you change the ingredients to fit your formula. I think he's trying the latter, and it's just not working. Because to be able to do that, I think the same thing with Klopp. I don't think Klopp ever changes his formula, but his way works with more players than others, and at the same time, I think he gets guys who are going to fit. And I think if we do anything well with the sporting director, I think we do that well. We get the personality.
Yeah, correct.
Not only talent-wise, tactic-wise, that's going to fit that group.
There's that famous thing in the Ralph Honigstein book about Jurgen Klopp when he wrote the book about his Dortmund days and stuff, where a player goes in and he's about to sign a player and he goes in and he goes, "What do you like in training?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't really like training, but I turn it on in games." And Jurgen went, "Okay, we've heard enough." 5 minutes in, he said, "We've heard enough." Because there's a buy-in. You've got to be sound. I think Jurgen has that famous thing that everyone says, there's no dickhead rule. He's just not, don't be a dickhead. That's why we like a lot of these players, because they're just not dickheads.
Yes.
And I know we're biased because there are lads compared to the United lads, but a lot of them just look like you're just a bit of a dickhead. You know what I mean? There's a few nice lads, like I think Bissaka could be cool and stuff like that, but he's just a few dickheads. Like Bruno Fernandes is a dickhead, and Anthony's the same kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? There's just, and I think that's a problem as well. Jurgen has this thing of no dickheads allowed in my...
I think so. You recruit... I mean, that's what I mean. He's done the former, where he's brought in guys that are going to fit his system, as opposed to, like, he hasn't changed. He hasn't said, I'll change my ways and make the most out of Sacco. He was like, dude, you don't fit this shit.
Yeah,
so you're out. And you just move on. You eliminate. I think, but you got to be able to eliminate, and somebody's going to have to enable you to eliminate, which I don't think he gets. But hey, we could have like 8 different morning shows over here just on United Misery, and enjoy it too. The weekend is here. No Liverpool, international games all over the place. Mind you, Ryan was talking about it earlier. Turkey got a huge ass win yesterday. That was just kind of like a shocker, winning against Croatia away. So that was huge, and now they're top of their group.
Ooh.
They're pretty much going to Germany, is looking like. Their next game home, I think, on Sunday is against Latvia at home. I think even the draw is enough, which I'm assuming they're going to win. More than that, it was shocking that they were the better team against Croatia for like 80 minutes or so, which was shocking to see, but fun to see. So I'll watch them on Sunday. What are you doing, John?
Probably on the PS5. Like not even gonna. There's a good lineup of games that's coming up. Like my buddy and I are gonna get out some much needed game time. So nice. Like Kazi said, like no stress. I can just enjoy my games, right? So
yeah.
See, I use the games to get rid of the stress. Like there are games where like I don't want to watch pre-match. We do the pre-match show now. That's kind of like therapy. But before we started our pre-match, I would avoid like watching TV before the game, like the pundits and stuff like that. I would just play a game, and then if the result doesn't go our way afterwards, now we do post-match and therapy that way. Otherwise, I would just hit the PlayStation and stuff. Now we just talk it off. We all lay down on our own couches and we just talk it out in post-match and get it out of the system. Kazi, you're not a gamer. We got that established earlier. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing?
Probably have a round of golf or something. I like to switch off. I love having a switch off. I think there's too many international breaks, of course, but I think everyone needs to have a little switch off now and then. Our life shouldn't evolve around Liverpool. There's more important things.
A little bit late for that, but okay.
Yeah. As we talk in this channel, right? Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
To be fair,
morning,
I can't remember. Like I think there was a certain game years ago. Like I used to be obsessed whether we lost, and I used to watch the games back, even though we lost. And I had an obsession kind of thing. I think it got to the stage. It might have been Brendan's last year. We had a couple of games, and I was like, if these lads aren't going to put the effort in, why am I? And that's what I felt like sometimes. Do you know what I mean? If you guys don't give a fuck, why should I? Do you know what I mean? Like, at least...
I got periods like that. I know exactly what you're saying. Like, you watch it, you're like, they don't seem to care, so why would I care? But that's how I feel about regular season, for example, in sports like, NBA and stuff like that.
Exactly.
The game ends, they don't look like they care at all. That they lost or won. So I'm like, if you guys don't care, I guess I don't care.
And that's it, mate. So I like a switch off, and I think it's good to have a switch off, especially before the game after the international break. A switch off is necessary before Liverpool's first game back. It is extremely necessary for me. Yeah.
Oh, for you especially. Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that next week, I'm sure, as we build into
like Voldemort, the he who shall not be named kind of game. Right now in my household, do not bring that house to mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why, take this weekend off. Don't even think about it. It's punching on Monday morning, starting to think about the derby. Yeah, because, I kind of know that. See, I get that with United games, but I know, like, growing up, you would get that build up and the nerves and the stomach pain and stuff like that, like a Galatasaray derby or something like that.
Do you know what, mate? They've won one in like 28 against us, and I'm still can't sleep.
Yes, does not matter, right?
Yeah,
does not matter. Yep.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'm never confident because you never know with these games how they're gonna roll and stuff. But yes, we just said no freaking stress. So no stress. We're not even thinking about the game yet. We're just worrying that we don't get any more injuries over the weekend, hopefully. So we're as healthy as possible. But thanks to all those joining. I hope you guys have a great weekend as well. Relax, take some time off, pray for no injuries, and we'll see you guys back here Monday morning. Take care.